Well, y'all, I'm not so sure Mercury's not already retrograde because this is take number 3. What's up this week? This week is Monday, the 18th of January through the 24th. Welcome. Let's talk about what's up. So today is Sunday, the 17th, as I am recording this. We've just had a Jupiter-Sun square at 6 degrees of Aquarius. My 5-degree Aquarius rising is feeling it very much. So that's how we begin our week, right? The moon goes into Aries on Monday. The moon conjuncts Chiron, sextiles Jupiter. So we have the opportunity to create expansion or create crisis, right, from our triggers. We can do whichever we choose. On Tuesday, the moon sextiles Mercury. So we are already in this Mercury retrograde shadow. So I will say it now, and I'll probably say it 3 more times before we're done here. Every opportunity that you can take right now to speak your truth is a good opportunity to take. Also on Tuesday, the sun goes into Aquarius, allowing us to feel personally this Aquarian dominant energy, right? This new dynamic, right? We, ourselves, our sun, our will, our vitality moves into that space as well. And just after midnight, moving into Wednesday, the moon will square Pluto, right? So this will be kind of seismically triggering our feels, right? Also, Mars conjuncts Uranus, right? And that's a big deal. The moon also squares the sun and then squares Saturn. So moon is about feelings. The sun is about our will and vitality. Again, that brand new Aquarian sun on Wednesday, the 20th. And then Saturn is about rules and boundaries and restrictions and how we choose those for ourselves. Also, Saturn is semi-square Neptune on that day, and Mercury is trining the North Node. Now, very briefly, here's what I'd like to say about that. All of that kind of conglomerates to say we have an opportunity to really get right with the truth on this day. We will have a very clear choice to make, and that is to continue in one direction or move into another, right? Saturn, semi-square Neptune. Mercury trine the North Node. Mercury is about communication. The North Node is about our destiny, right? The path that we choose. Saturn and Neptune is about clarity, right? And unclarity, right? So this is a day that's either going to feel super transparent or very, very opaque, depending on how you happen to feel, right? Moon square Pluto. So this is a day of what you bring to the table is exactly what you're going to be served. Mars conjunct Uranus can either be, oh my goodness, terrible things are going to happen out of the blue. It's just a disaster, bad things. Or things will take a marked turn for the better because I choose it, right? Transparency, opacity, clarity, murkiness. Those are choices. Those are choices within choices, right? Squares are about leaning into a choice. So we get to make a choice. Every one of us gets to make a choice. Right. How that day feels to you is how that day feels to you. Then on Thursday, that Taurus moon conjuncts Uranus, then Mars, then squares Jupiter, and then trines Venus. Well, hello. Oh, I sure like that. So that is kind of a little walk, right, through shifts and changes, evolution, balance, right? So you might feel upended, but you're going to end up in the right place. And then on Friday, the moon squares Mercury, right? And we have a Mars square to Jupiter. This is a big deal, Mars square Jupiter, right? Especially since the moon is going to trine Pluto. Just as we felt that pressure in terms of our emotions and our power, this is a day where we can feel our power and have a little bit of a challenge putting it into effect. So breathe through things on Friday. Again, my recommendation is going to be to really be focused on clear communications, as clear as you can make them. Yeah, it's a big deal. And then Saturday, the moon is trining the sun, trining Saturn, and sextiling Chiron. So the opportunity to really create your life from your choices as opposed to your wounds is available to you, should you choose to take it. Also, the sun is conjuncting Saturn, and as the sun is semi-square Neptune. So on Saturday, you may feel challenged, and you might feel challenged personally, but that also might be a big giant illusion, right? The moon moves into Gemini. You might be feeling a certain way. You might be overanalyzing things. So just pay attention, question your motives, really get right with what is, right? Especially as Venus is sextiling Neptune. Be clear on what is. And the way that you determine what is to check your alignment by how it feels. Ooh, mercy, mercy. Check your alignment by how it feels. And then on Sunday, the moon is going to square Neptune and trine Mercury, right? Again, it's really time to speak it this week, right? In terms of how we know what we're feeling. Because next week the sun squares Uranus. Next week we have a Cancer moon opposite Venus and Pluto. Next week we have a Leo full moon at 9 degrees. That is, of course, in opposition to the sun, but also Jupiter, right? And they'll be squaring Mars in Taurus, while Venus and Pluto are conjunct, right? And then we go to Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot coming up. So this week is really about holding your alignment, right? So Monday, right, we talked about the moon conjuncting Chiron, right? Seven of Swords. You know, this is about being on alert. And the way that you can be on alert is to be in your feelings, right? We're still going to be feeling the echoes of that Jupiter-Uranus square, right? And so we might feel a little push me, pull you, right? So we have the Page of Swords and the Seven of Swords, right? So this is kind of a conflict of ideas, right? The Seven of Swords can be deceptive energy. It can be self-protective energy. It can be energy that creates an awareness. It can be energy that pushes you to make a decision, especially with this page here, bringing some new information in, right? You just never know. You have to pay attention. You have to really weigh things from all sides. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that that's how things are. Inspection sometimes. when new information comes to your periphery, right? Uranus can bring new information. Jupiter asks, well, what do we do with it, right? That moon conjunct Chiron, sextiling Jupiter, is asking us, how do we proceed? It's new information, sure. How do I move forward? Well, Tuesday, we move into Aquarius, right? So we have the Nine of Wands and the Ten of Wands. Guess what? The Nine of Wands is about, again, being on the defensive, right? Being mindful, right? The Nine of Wands is, I am weary, right? We have won a battle, but I am weary. And the 10 is, no, thank you. I must put this down, right? Where that 9 is cycle recognition, cycle completion, this is integration. So whatever we've been learning, right, we have to process and integrate and put into use, put into our decision-making process, right? It's not enough. You know, the Nine of Wands, he just stands there on guard. The 10 says, no, this is too much. It must be put down. As the sun moves into Aquarius, we are being asked to put down what is too heavy, right? These old ideas, these old ways of believing, these old ways of existing, right, that have kept us on guard, that have kept us in this place of feeling that deception, of feeling this standstill and inability to really make choices. We get to make choices, right? Absolutely. And then on Wednesday, like I said, the moon squares Pluto, Mars conjunct Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, the North Node. So we've got the Queen of Swords and the Three of Swords. Lots of swords this week. So this is a lot of ideas, a lot of mental energy, right? This Aquarian energy really taking hold. So the Queen of Swords is about being able to stand in this truth of idea, right? There might be a little bit of tendency, right, to want to be on the side of idea, only idea, right? Especially as we have this Four of Swords, right? The Four of Swords, consider that the Three of Swords down here is a card of heartbreak and sorrow and loss, right? But the Four, we add that one sword, this new idea, and the Four of Swords becomes a card of contemplation, a card of really digging into what this heartbreak brought you. What was the lesson, right? As such, Mars conjunct Uranus, right, gives us the opportunity, as the moon squares the sun and Saturn, to really sit with our feelings and really sit with Mercury trine the North Node. What is the right idea, right? What are we putting down, and what is the right way to move forward, right? Big deal day. Thursday, right? That's the day that the moon wanders through Uranus, Jupiter, Venus, right? Mercury is semi-square Chiron. So we've got the Hermit and the Queen of Wands. The Hermit, again, this is this reflective energy, right? This contemplative, this looking for the light within, right? We have the Queen of Wands, and then we've got the Hermit with his beautiful staff, really getting into alignment, right? Where we've been out of alignment, where we see, oh, perhaps there is, in fact, alignment indeed. So the Hermit is about seeking that light within and knowing that the light within is there. And then we've got the Queen of Wands, right? She's the embodiment of being set on fire. Moon trine Venus, right? Taurus moon trine Virgo Venus. Right? Even though this is the Queen of Wands, that fire energy, that sensual aspect that Taurus and Capricorn can have in terms of earthiness is represented in this Queen energy, right? This is about that embodiment of this new idea, this light, this flame, right? what do we find when we're contemplating? What do we find when we're quiet? Well, we find the heart of our desires. We find our why. So this is a day to really dig into that why. Moon trine Venus, right? Absolutely. Woo. And then we move into this moon trining Pluto, right? Squaring Mercury, right? As Mars squares Jupiter. We've got the Three of Pentacles. We've got the Four of Cups. So this is, the Three of Pentacles is about community and working on mastery, of feeling that support, of really being in one's, feeling one's resource very deeply on a personal level, right? So whether these things that we've been deciding, whether this inspiration, this lit from withinness is about ourselves or something greater, here's the deal. We have another four, right? And what is a four? Well, these two fours are about having and considering, right? This is about being in consideration of. The Three of Cups, this is a card of celebration. This gifted last cup is about, well, maybe. Do I trust this emotional fulfillment? As we know, all gifts from the divine must be accepted with gratitude and put into action. Am I ready? Am I ready? 3, to put this into action. These threes, y'all, these threes are everywhere this week. Am I ready to put this into action? Am I sovereign enough to put this into action? Mars square Jupiter. Am I jumping the gun? Am I? Perhaps. Saturday, Mars squares Jupiter. The moon trines the sun, and Saturn sextiles Chiron, right? Venus sextiles Neptune. The sun conjunct Saturn, right? The moon moves into Gemini. The moon moves into Gemini. This 10 of Cups is glorious. This is emotional fulfillment, right? This is I have everything. This is happy heart, right? But something looms here, right? Something. These 3 swords. This is loss. This is sorrow. This is an opportunity, right? The sun conjunct Saturn. How am I creating things that are not allowing me to feel this joy? How am I? How am I? How am I? How am I? Do I know? Absolutely. We always know, right? We always know. We just have to be quiet long enough to figure it out. This whole week says, it's in there. You know it. It's all in there. How are you preventing your own joy? How are you? Mars square Jupiter. How are you actively preventing your own expansion and growth? Right? Venus sextile Neptune. Again, this is about things better felt than thought, right? We can think all day long, but it's about how you feel. Are you going to accept this cup, or are you going to sit there and be stubborn? That's a great question. A great question indeed. Moon square Neptune in Pisces. Again, speak now. Speak now. We have the Fool. We have the Tower. 2 majors to end our week. The Fool is the 0 card, right? This is the journey of faith. This is what you find in this new idea. This is what you find as you put this burden down. This is what you find as you contemplate in meditation. This is what you find in the light. Do you see how these two are very similar? They ought to be. This is what you find as you work hard. You trust, right? This is where you're in resistance, right? We have the Tower. The Tower is a cataclysmic change opportunity. Again, we can go right back to Wednesday, Mars conjunct Uranus. We can go right back to Sunday, today, Jupiter square Uranus. The moon conjunct Uranus, right? We have opportunity to bring faith to what is shifting and changing in our lives and in our world. Again, you call in the shit show, you get the shit show. And that's just how it works, right? So call in something better. You can do it, right? You already know what's better. You already know what's better. Maybe, I don't know. It's really a pain in my butt. I'm getting really tired of standing here and dealing with all this crap. Well, guess what? You get to choose to put it down. Or not. Or not. Do you trust? Do you trust the shifts and changes? We don't know where they end up, right? We don't know. Yes, we do. We do. We do know. How do we know? We know right there. Our heart's desires lead us into our heart's desires. It's very simple every single time. So, be in your own way or not. It always comes back to the same thing, doesn't it? It really does. It really does. What I love the best, by the way, about the Tower card is that the card after the Tower card is the Star. That's a card of divine wish fulfillment, right? And in our divine wish fulfillment, all things are given. Hello, number 7. To the sea. Oh, dang, look at that. Alrighty. Shall we? Shall we have a little to the sea, number 7? Sure, why not? I just love it. Being in flow. Returning to source. Recognizing how pieces fit together. A natural pattern of events. Isn't it wonderful when you feel yourself in the flow of life? When events and conditions seem to engage you in a way that is fluid and effortless. This card reminds you that going with the flow is exactly what you need to do right now. Ride the wave of opportunity formed by perfect conditions. Allow trust and faith to guide you forward as you flow like a river into the sea of life. So, what did we talk about? You know where you're feeling pinched, right? You know what you don't want to hold on to anymore. You know what you've been standing for that is no longer serving you. It's time to integrate that lesson. You have all of the information. You know in your heart what the direction is, right? You know where that light is found. You know what your heart desires, right? Do you choose to be in the flow, to accept what is in the flow for you, perhaps? Or do you stand in your own way, right? You have an opportunity for glorious success, happiness, emotional balance, right? I mean, these two cards are literally polar opposites, right? We have beautiful, abundance of love, and we have heartbreak. Sun conjunct Saturn. Pay attention. Pay attention to what this week is asking of you. Faith. It doesn't matter what you need to shake up to get here, but you have to trust it. You have to trust it. You have to know that being in that flow is exactly where you're supposed to be, right? Absolutely. We have the great balancing. This is the card of karma, right? And what is karma? Karma is simply recognizing what is and what is not. It's simply honoring the way that we are in flow. It is simply honoring what we have and what is given to us. It's simply honoring that at any given moment, we are on both sides of every single coin, right? We are integration. We are learning. We are the light, and we are the seeker of the light. We are the Fool, and we are the Tower. We are the Ten of Cups, and we are the Three of Swords. What are you going to do? It's a great question. One that only you can answer, right? Again, next week we have a Leo full moon. We've got Mercury retrograde, and yeah, we'll talk about those things. We'll talk a little bit more about this week's things too as they come in. Stay aligned, okay? And stay in your aligned speech. And don't be afraid this week to speak your truth. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. And don't be afraid to speak that truth from your heart, right? This is the key. It's got to be from that place where your heart's desire lives, right? If you want to find balance between these two poles, balance between these two poles, right? You got to be in that flow. You got to know what you know. You got to feel what you feel. And not say, maybe not. You already know, guys. You always already know. Stay safe out there. Be blessed. And we'll talk again soon.